this come from? Storm, Force of Nature deck tech coming right up. Welcome to Wizards Whimsy. I'm your host, Patrick. Today we're doing part 4 of our Marvel superhero deck techs. Now this is a little bit different. I am doing Storm, Force of Nature, and she is a 4-drop, 1 generic, and teamer. Now what's wonderful about this is that I am doing it as a 1v1. That's right, I'm building her for dual commander purposes. Now, a lot of people probably are going like, why are you doing that? It's something different, it's something fresh, and I've not seen anyone do a deck tech using dual commander. Now, dual commander, each player has 20 life, and there is a different ban list. So you're not going to combo off with Thoracle. A lot of your free spells and tutors, they're banned, and they have a separate banned as commander list. So it is still possible to do crazy things with cards that you didn't think you could play again because they're banned in regular commander. Now, you can't use them as your commander, but you can have them in your deck. So cards like Nadu is still legal to use in the actual deck. You can't have it as the commander, but you can have it in the deck. And no, I did not put Nadu in Storm. I do have a link to the Dual Commander website in the description below, so go ahead and check that out whenever this video is over, or check it out while you're listening to this, whatever the case may be. But definitely check it out. It looks like it could be a fun format. I haven't really played Dual Commander yet. This is my first deck that I'm building for Dual Commander, and I'm actually building her in a different way. So there's people that build her where she takes extra turns, where she's doing a lot of damage, where she's, casting a spell with Storm and giving it an additional instance of Storm. So like Grape Shot, it storms and then it storms again. It's crazy stuff that you can do with this commander. There's no wonder why she is such a popular commander right now, and people are just brewing her like crazy. Like I said, I built her for the 1v1 format. There's a different ban list, and I went ahead and took this in a different way. Now, I do have ways that you can storm off and deal a lot of damage, where you can, hurt your opponents. I'm not doing any of the extra turn stuff. I built her as an energy commander. That's right. So I get to use the teamer colors for energy. And one of the ways that we can combo off is Aether Revolt. We use that enchantment along with anything that can, just constantly recur energy, and we get to just bolt our opponents as long as a permanent has left the battlefield. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this deck tech. All right, first up, we're going to go ahead and go with the cards that came with the secret layer. Storm, Force of Nature is a 4-drop, 1 generic, a green, blue, and red. She is a mutant hero, 3/4, flying vigilance. She has Ceaseless Tempest. Whenever Storm deals combat damage to a player, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. And what that means is when you cast it, you copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. Now, a sorcery that's in there, Ice Storm. It's a great little reprint. It's a 3-drop, 2 generic, and a green. Destroy target land. So if you storm off, if you cast a couple of spells before combat and you storm off, you can destroy a couple of lands actually. Then this is a nice little reprint and been reskinned. It is Aurora Borealis. It is a 2-drop, a generic, and a hybrid red or green. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors and draw a card. Then there's Lightning Bolt, a red mana instant. Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to any target. And finally, you have Storm's Will, which is a reskinned Jessica's Will, which is 2 generic and a red. It's a sorcery. Choose one. If you control your commander, as you cast this spell, you may choose both instead. You either add 1 red mana for each card in target opponent's hand, or exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. So you definitely want to cast this. You want to make sure that you have not played land for turn. That way, if you turn over a land, can actually play it, and that way you don't lose that resource. Those are the cards that came with the secret layer. I did not include the bonus card. It is not in the deck. It's not in my deck list, so I did not include that. So again, this will be the same way that I've been doing the other decks, where I'm going to give like the main cards that I would put in, and then hopefully y'all can put in some ideas and throw in some ideas into what you would actually add into the deck as well. Let's go through the lands real quick. Now, I'm only going to talk about 3 lands. First is Aether Hub. It is a land that when Aether Hub enters the battlefield, you get an energy. You can tap and add a colorless mana, or you can pay an energy and add 1 mana of any color. So it enters, we get that energy, and then hopefully we can start utilizing that energy, because we want to make sure that we have ways of not only gaining the energy, but also spending the energy. The second land is Helios 1. Now it's tap, add a colorless, or you can filter in a land and tap and you get an energy counter, or you can pay 3, tap, pay X energy, sacrifice Helio 1, destroy target non-land permanent with mana value X, activate only as a sorcery. Now the third land that we have in there is Valakut. So all of our dual lands and tri-lands will have the type of mountain. That way it can help trigger Valakut, and Valakut is whenever a mountain enters the battlefield, if you control 5 or more mountains, Valakut deals 3 damage to any target. Now we do have several sorceries that can go get lands, but we're not going to talk about those. The main thing that we're going to talk about is Reiterating Bolt. It is a 2-drop, 1 generic and a red. It has replicate, pay 3 energy. So you can copy it for every time that you pay 3 energy. Reiterating Bolt deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So like I said, you can pay the 3 energy any number of times, and each time that you paid that replicate cost, you get to copy this spell. So you can pretty much wipe your opponent's board of any creatures and planeswalkers, especially if you have built up a huge energy pile. Now again, because it is an energy deck, that is why I'm spending the time talking about the energy. Otherwise, I would use the best possible spells that you can have for your counter spells, your draw spells, any cantrips or anything like that. So talking about our instances now, we have Glimmer of Genius. It is a 4-drop, 3 generic and a blue. You scry 2, then draw 2, you get 2 energy. We do have a couple of counter spells that give us energy, and the first one is Ether Spike. It is a 2-drop, a generic and a blue. Choose target spell, you get 2 energy. Then you may pay any amount of energy. Counter that spell unless its controller pays 1 for each energy paid this way. We have Tune the Narrative. It is a single blue mana instant. Draw a card, you get 2 energy. Galvanic Discharge is 1 red mana instant. Choose target creature or planeswalker, you get 3 energy. Then you may pay any amount of energy. Galvanic Discharge deals that much damage to that permanent. Now a good way to build up energy is to use this counter spell. It is Electro Siphon. It is 2 blue and a red. Counter target spell, you get an amount of energy equal to its mana cost. The main 2 enchantments that deal with energy that we are running, the first is Primal Prayers. It is a 4-drop, 2 generic and 2 green. When Primal Prayers enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. You may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less by paying 1 energy rather than paying their mana cost. If you cast a spell this way, you may cast it as though it had flash. This next card is also one of our win conditions, and it is a great enchantment, especially if you are dealing with energy. It is Aether Revolt. It is a 4-drop, 2 generic and 2 red. It has Revolt. As long as a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Whenever you get 1 or more energy, Aether Revolt deals that much damage to any target. Now let's move on to some artifacts. So one of the main artifacts that we're running is it Genitorium. It is a blue and a red artifact. If you would get 1 or more energy, you get that many energy +1 instead. Now you can tap and draw a card, activate only if you've paid or lost 4 or more energy this turn. So this is a way that we can actually draw cards, especially if we have ways to utilize our energy, and that we do. So I mentioned that there's a lot of fast mana that's banned in Duel Commander. So I went ahead and put this card in. It is Solar Transformer. It is a 2-drop artifact. Solar Transformer enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever Solar Transformer enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. You can tap it to add 1 generic mana, or you can tap and pay an energy and add 1 mana of any color. Dynavolt Tower is a 3-drop. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get 2 energy. Then you can tap and pay 5 energy. Dynavolt Tower deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Decoction Module is a 2-drop. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get an energy. And you can pay 4, tap, and return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Aetherworks Marvel is a 4-drop legendary artifact. Whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard, you get an energy. Then you tap, pay 6 energy, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a card from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Consulate Turret is a 3-drop. Tap, you get an energy. Then it also has tap, pay 3 energy. Consulate Turret deals 2 damage to target player. Now we're on to the fun cards, the creatures, and this is where we get to have a little bit of fun. So one of the combo pieces, if you have Aether Revolt and Primal Prayers out, Greenbelt Rampager is 1 green mana. When Greenbelt Rampager enters the battlefield, pay 2 energy. If you can't, return Greenbelt Rampager to its owner's hand and you get 1 energy. So this is a way that with Aether Revolt and Primal Prayers that you can constantly cast him over and over again, paying energy to cast him. As long as your energy is 1 or 2, when you cast him using Primal Prayer's ability to pay the energy instead, he will enter. He enters the battlefield, so whenever he comes back to your hand and you get an energy, a permanent you control has left the battlefield. So that will automatically bolt your opponent. It will deal 1 damage for the energy that you get, plus since it's non-combat damage, it'll do an additional 2 damage. You can do this over and over again to bolt your opponent and win the game. Whirler Virtuoso is also a great creature to actually use your energy. He is a 3-drop, 1 generic, a red and a blue. Whenever Whirler Virtuoso enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Then you can pay 3 energy and create a 1/1 colorless Doppler artifact creature token with flying. So he enters, he gets that 3 energy. If you've been banking energy, whenever you pass turn and your opponent goes to pass back to you, you can create a lot of colorless Doppler tokens so that they can attack with flying on your next turn. This card got banned in Modern, but it does have a home in Commander and especially in Duel Commander. Amped Raptor is a 2-drop, 1 generic and a red. He is a 2/1 dinosaur. When Amped Raptor enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Then, if you cast it from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying an amount of energy equal to its mana value rather than paying the mana cost. Now, a key thing to remember is that this will be getting rid of all of your lands. So if you run into a stack of lands, you just lose those lands because they're exiled. So keep that in mind, but hopefully you'll be flipping into some gas and you have enough energy to actually pay that cost. Now, one of our finishers, one of our big creatures, is Aetherwind Basker. It is a 7-drop lizard. 7/7, has trample. Whenever Ether Wind Basker enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy for each creature you control. You can pay an energy. Ether Wind Basker gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Since he has trample, if you have a lot of energy, you can pump that energy into him and create a huge trampling creature that your opponent will have to deal with. Now, going back to the days of Standard when the Aether Revolt set was in Standard, you had Aether Revolt and Kaladesh, and this creature was a beast to deal with. Bristling Hydra is a 4-drop, 2 generic and 2 green, 4/3. When Bristling Hydra enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Then you may pay 3 energy, put a +1/+1 counter on Bristling Hydra, who gains hexproof till end of turn. So any kind of damage that could be targeted to Bristling Hydra, you can actually protect them by paying energy. It is a great card, and I remember it being a beast to deal with in Standard back in the day. So hopefully in Duel Commander, he will be a beast to deal with as well. Architect of the Untamed is a 3-drop, 2 generic, and a green elf, artificer, druid, 2/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get an energy. You can pay 8 energy and create a 6/6 colorless beast artifact creature token. I know there's plenty of other cards to add into the deck, and I do have other cards that are actually in the deck right now. So, I wanted to get your input on the cards that I've selected. And then also, what are your ideas on cards that you would add? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on having Storm as an energy commander. And do you think these cards would actually work for her? And also, what would you add, or how would you actually build Storm? Now, again, this is for a 1v1 style. It is for Duel Commander. So that is why I felt it was pretty safe to utilize her as a energy commander. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave those comments down below. Thanks for checking out this video. I hope it gave you some ideas, and I hope it might have piqued your interest in Duel Commander as well. So make sure you check out the links in the description below, where you'll find a link to Duel Commander's webpage so that you can fully look at the rules and see the ban list. They do utilize Banned as Commander, which is quite cool, so you can actually still use some of those old Commander cards that have been banned in normal Commander. You can still put them in your deck. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on this deck and what you would do differently with it, especially building it for a 1v1 commander. Now, the final one coming up will be Wolverine, the best there is. Been losing friends. But that deck tech will be coming up later on, and I'm kind of excited with how I'm building it, and I'm going to present it in a different way. So I'll be looking for feedback on the way that I present that deck tech. So until next time, keep slinging those spells.